Human capital and its sources. Learning objectives. At the end of this module, you will be able to state the meaning of human capital, compare physical capital with human capital, identify the sources of human capital. Aside from increasing the earning capacity of an individual, education also contributes to the overall economic development of a nation. This is why economists repeatedly stress the importance of expanding educational opportunities. With the importance of education in mind, in this module, you will be studying the meaning of human capital. You will further compare it with physical capital and understand how to identify its sources. Let us start with an example. Rupesh and Deepesh are two childhood friends. Both of their families own agricultural land of equal size. They completed their basic education in the same school, but then Rupesh went to the city to pursue a higher education in the agricultural sector. Deepesh, however, had to abandon further studies due to the pressure of his family's financial responsibilities. Many years later, after completing his studies, Rupesh joined his father in his agricultural business. Deepesh was shocked to discover that, despite having the same size of agricultural land, the yield from Rupesh's field was far more than his own. Besides this, in a very short period of time, Rupesh managed to buy a beautiful house and a vehicle to carry the agricultural output to the city market. He was also looked upon as a future sarpanch of his village because of his popularity as a visionary farmer. What do you think allowed Rupesh to enjoy a better lifestyle than Deepesh? Well, it was of course the higher level of knowledge and skills which Rupesh acquired through his further education. This is a prime example of how education can convert a common human being into human capital. It helps them to make better choices in life, employ new technology, innovate, and earn higher levels of income. If you study Rupesh and Deepesh's case, you can see that they were on the same level until Rupesh went on to pursue his degree in the agricultural sector. Rupesh's father provided the necessary financial support for his education. Through the course of his studies, Rupesh gradually developed essential knowledge and skills relating to the agricultural sector. Rupesh's father's investment paid off when Rupesh chose to return to the village to support his father's farming business. Rupesh began implementing his newfound knowledge and skills, which led to a gradual increase in the production capacity of his family's land. He started by sending soil samples for various tests. Based on the test results, he selected specific crop varieties to be grown on the land. He also studied the best practices followed by more advanced countries and implemented them with the help of the latest technologies. In the first year, the crop yield from his land increased by 50%. This gradually increased further year after year. If we compare Rupesh with any other human capital resource, we can say that Rupesh's father invested in Rupesh. As a return on investment, ROI, Rupesh increased his family's earning capacity. Rupesh is a fine example of how a common human being transformed into human capital by enhancing his knowledge and skills through formal education. Quite simply, people are considered to be human capital when they have acquired higher levels of knowledge and skills through formal education, and implement these skills to create economic value for themselves, society, and the nation at large. Other examples of human capital are students who become doctors, engineers, lawyers, and other such professionals. wherein, after pursuing the relevant education in academic institutions and universities, they are able to create economic value. Good human capital is the best resource for appropriately training other individuals, thereby expanding the human capital population. This is why the government should invest in human capital, in order to produce more human capital, ultimately strengthening economic growth in the country. Let us continue by comparing human capital with physical capital. Physical capital is generally classified under assets, such as a building, machinery, or vehicles employed in the production process. Now, we can see Rupesh as an individual, but can we see his knowledge and skills? Of course not, as these things are intangible in nature. This is what differentiates human capital from physical capital, as things like buildings, machinery, and vehicles are tangible in nature. That is, you can physically see or touch them. Rupesh went on to share his agricultural knowledge with the local villagers, to help them increase their earning potential. This is how human capital not only benefits the owner of a business, but also external parties or society in general. This is also called an external benefit. The benefits of physical capital are totally private in nature and remain restricted to their owner. Rupesh started his schooling in the village since he had no other option. His teachers encouraged him to go to the city to pursue his higher education. Even his father's well-wishers suggested he opt for graduation in the agricultural sector. In this way, the decisions related to human capital are partly social and partly conscious in nature. However, when people invest in physical capital, say for example land, they first analyse the location, future prospects in the area, and the expected returns from it. This is why decisions related to physical capital are solely technical and economical in nature. Even after graduating, Rupesh needs to continuously upgrade his knowledge and skills through further studies. Otherwise, his practices may quickly become outdated. He also needs to take care of his health and remain fit. Otherwise, his efficiency may suffer. If he doesn't take care of his health or keep up to date, his value vis-à-vis other human capital will depreciate with time. This is very similar to the depreciation of some kinds of physical capital, like machinery or vehicles. So, when we compare human capital with physical capital, we can see that they have both differences and similarities. Some of the differences include: human capital is intangible, whereas physical capital is tangible in nature. Human capital has external benefits, whereas physical capital has private benefits. Human capital decisions are partly social and partly conscious, whereas for physical capital, the decisions are technical and economical. The main similarity both kinds of capital share is that they both depreciate over time. Having compared human capital with physical capital, let us now move ahead and identify the various sources of human capital. We will revisit the story of the two friends, Rupesh and Dipesh. From the moment Rupesh joined hands with his father in business, the output from their family's land increased to an unimaginable level. Rupesh achieved this by transforming himself into human capital through the acquisition of knowledge and skills in the agricultural field. On the other hand, in Dipesh's case, even after he started helping his father, there was no considerable improvement in his family's income. Had Deepesh's father invested in his further education, then his family would probably have been enjoying the fruits of it by now. This is why investment in education is a key source of creating human capital. Rupesh is very cautious about his health. He always takes preventative medicines, like vaccinations, especially if there is a dangerous disease in the area, like swine flu, for example. He visits his doctor with any ailments before they aggravate. He takes the curative medicines prescribed by his doctor, so he quickly recovers from any illness which strikes. He also educates the other villagers about the importance of sanitation, clean drinking water, and other such health-related issues. Spreading such health literacy in the area comes under social medicines, which in this case are dispersed by Rupesh, owing to his higher education. This is the total opposite of Deepesh, who rarely invests any time or money on health-related aspects. This makes him prone to disease, and he frequently falls ill, which greatly impacts his work as he can't continue farming during sickness. This is why investment in a person's health is important, and another key source of human capital. Now, while pursuing his agricultural education, Rupesh underwent training through various kinds of practical and project work. He also worked on his farm under his father's supervision, which can be seen as his on-the-job training. This is very similar to many production companies, wherein employees get hands-on training by working in an actual job under the supervision of seniors. Such training greatly enhances an individual's skill set. This is clearly visible from Rupesh's example, as his skills are much higher than Deepesh, who did not undergo any such training. This is why investment on training is one more important source of human capital. Rupesh went to a nearby city to pursue his higher education, which means he migrated temporarily to the city. His father had to bear certain costs for his living expenses and education. When Rupesh returned back to his village, he joined his father's business, and he began implementing his acquired knowledge and skills. This increased his family's income level, which can be seen as the return on his father's investment. Likewise, others also invest considerable sums on migrating to urban areas to increase their earning potential. This is why investment on migration is another source of human capital. Rupesh invested a lot of time and money collecting relevant information on the agricultural sector, especially pertaining to best practices, new technologies, and improved methods, etc. This information helped him to make sound decisions on his own agricultural practices. Deepesh, on the other hand, didn't invest any time and money collecting such crucial information. As such, he still follows outdated farming practices. Because of his investment, Rupesh's family income greatly increased compared to that of Deepesh's family. This is why investment on information is one more crucial source of human capital. In this way, we have identified the various sources of human capital as investment in education, investment in health, investment in training, investment in migration, investment in information. With this, we have completed this module. We studied here the meaning of human capital. We compared it with physical capital, and in the end, we also identified the various sources of human capital.